What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, thank you for stopping by. My name is Reagan. Got Ace in the building too. Today I'm gonna tell you guys my birth story. So if you guys have not checked out my birth vlog yet, definitely go check that out because this story is gonna fill in the blanks from my birth vlogs. We're just gonna get into it. So I gave birth on February 27th, 2021. So our story actually kind of starts a couple weeks before he was born. So on February, I'm looking at my calendar over here because I still have it as February. So on February 9th, we had an ultrasound. I was almost 34 weeks at that time. So at the ultrasound, they told us that he was 5 pounds and 4 ounces. Then next week at my doctor appointment, he was like, so he's getting pretty big. To watch what you're eating now. You need to watch the sweets, candy, sugar, all that. Because at the rate we're going, we're looking at a 39-week induction if the ultrasound you get at 36 weeks says that he is getting to be too big. So I was like, okay. I tried really hard that week to not eat a lot of sweets and I failed miserably. So the week of the 22nd, I was having terrible swelling in my legs and my feet. It was hard to walk sometimes. I'd have to sit up every hour with my feet up. It was very uncomfortable. So that Friday, I stayed home all day and just kind of cleaned up a lot. I got in a really big, deep cleaning mood. Then that night, Friday night, the 26th, we went to Target because Arion got in like a he wanted to go buy a baby stuff mood. So we bought some more diapers, some more wipes. I bought a little Easter outfit that he was too big to wear on Easter. When we got dinner, we went home and I started filming a self-care night routine video. In that video, I was gonna show like balancing on my yoga ball to, you know, kind of help before labor came. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So yeah, so I was bouncing on my yoga ball. I did the routine video and then I went to bed because I had to work the next morning. Arion's boss had planned like a whole surprise baby shower for him the next morning. I knew about it, but Arion didn't yet. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed now because we're gonna get up early and go to this little baby shower before he goes to work. So we go to bed. I woke up at about 1:45 to go to the bathroom for like my nightly bathroom breaks. But usually I wouldn't have them till like 4 o'clock in the morning. So I was super excited. I was like, yes, like I can sleep longer now. This is great. And then at 3:45, I woke up to just stuff gushing out of me downstairs. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I jump up and I'm standing at the end of my bed, it's still just coming out. And I'm like yelling to Arion, like, wake up. He's such a deep sleeper. It's taking me multiple times, but I didn't want to like walk over there and wake him up because that stuff is just coming out. So he finally wakes up and I'm like, I think my water broke. I don't know what's going on. So he calls his mom because I'm trying to call my mom. Sorry, mom, but she would not answer. Like none of my calls. And I tried calling my dad and I tried calling my sister and both of their phones went straight to voicemail. So Arion's calling his mom and she answered right away and he was told like what's going on. She's like, yeah, you need to go to the hospital. I'm trying to pack a hospital bag with baby stuff, with clothes for me, toiletries, all that stuff. Stuff is still gushing out of me. Arion is like, put some clothes on, we're going. Like, do you want to have the babies here or do you want to have the baby at the hospital? It's like, you don't need that stuff right now. I will come back and get it later. I put on a pair of gray sweatpants and they just immediately get soaked. So I'm trying to put on more. He's like, no, like whatever you do is going to just keep soaking any pair of pants. So let's go. So I wrap a towel around my waist and we go. So we're in the car. I'm sitting just in all liquid. I'm freaking out. The only place I know to go first is the ER. So I call the ER and tell them I'm coming. And then we get there and I go in and I'm like, look, I'm 35 weeks pregnant. I think my water broke. She's like, okay. So she handed me some paperwork and she came around the desk and then they had me in a wheelchair actually. So they put me in a wheelchair as soon as I got in there. And then she came around the desk and she saw how soaked my pants were. And she was like, oh yeah, your water definitely broke. So then after that, she's like, okay, we're gonna get you a stretcher. And I'm like, well, a stretcher? Like I just walked in here just fine. Like I'm still feeling fine. Why am I getting a stretcher? They put me on the stretcher and I don't know if they were like residents that were working and pushing the stretcher, but it looked like they were going to run me into every single wall we went past. So I'm like, and they're freaking out about that and freaking out about them running me into a wall. And I hear behind me the nurse talking to Arion being like, oh yeah, she might have the baby around 3 or 4 this afternoon. I'm like, this is really happening. Get into our delivery room. After I got the gown on, I went and sat in the bed. So she got my vitals. And the next like hour or two is so foggy because it was just a lot happening and I was freaking out the whole time. So then they had the on-call OB come in because it's like 4 4 or 5 in the morning on a Saturday. My OB is definitely not in the office. And she checks me and I was 4 centimeters dilated. So that means I'd been dilated for a while and I didn't even know. I had no symptoms of labor whatsoever. And because it was 35 weeks and he was a boy, they were worried about his lungs. So I had to get a steroid shot in a not fun place, but it actually wasn't like as scary as it sounded. After that, the contractions started. So they started probably around like 6 or 6:30. So we got there around 4:30. So it's about 2 hours when the contractions started. And it really just felt like I had a lot of gas pain down really low, like lower than you would normally have gas pain. They weren't too bad at first, but because of, I guess, how fast everything moved, they came on. Every contraction was worse and worse. First, I was like, this isn't that bad. Like, I don't know if it was the adrenaline talking, but I was like, you know what? I always picture myself getting the epidural because I'm a baby with pain, but I'm handling this pretty well. I'm breathing through it. I might try and go all natural. Like, the next contraction was so bad. Like, I thought I was gonna throw up. It was terrible. Like, I couldn't talk through the contractions anymore. So then I was like, yep, epidural. So then finally the anesthesiologist comes in. My nurse tells Arion to sit in the corner and turn around and not look because he already expressed his fear of needles and she didn't want him like passing out or anything. So she told him to do that. And then the nurse gave me a pillow to hold on to and she like put her hands on my shoulder to kind of coach me through it. The epidural, it actually was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like, for a couple weeks leading up to this, I was watching a lot of birth stories and everybody kind of said the same thing about the epidural, was like, it's a lot scarier to think about than it actually is when you get it. And man, it worked miracles. Like, once it kicked in, I didn't feel any of those contractions anymore. It just felt weird because like my legs started to fall asleep and then it was just completely numb. And then at about 10 o'clock in the morning, the nurse came in. I got checked for the 3rd time. I was at the golden 10. My nurse called my OB and was like, okay, yep, she's about ready. My nurse got the room prepped. I'm like laying in bed. I can't get up because my legs are asleep. I got the epidural, I'm numb. And I'm like yelling at Arion from across the room, like not yelling, but like trying to get him to wake up, be like, hey, it's almost time. Hey, wake up. He's like, okay, well, we'll wait for your OB. We're gonna do some practice pushes. For those of you who have never given birth before, so what you do is take a breath and you blow it away, and then you take a breath and then you push, and you have to hold that to the count of 10. The first few times it wasn't that hard at all, but once you keep having to do it so many times, like it gets so much harder to push and hold your breath. And especially when you have the epidural, like you can't feel yourself pushing. I did about 3 practice pushes and then my OB got there like just in time because he was coming. I think I pushed about 3 or 4 more times, like the whole, you know, like 3 or 4 sets. It was so funny because Arion was like so into it. Like he's down there looking, he's like, oh my God, he has so much hair. Like, oh my God. And I'm over here like, oh my God. Like, I can't feel anything, I don't know. Finally, on that last push, it is the craziest feeling in the world because you can still feel a little bit. It was so surreal. Arion was so happy, you know, he's like, oh my God, look at his hair. I grabbed him and put him on my chest. They're drying him off and stuff. Like, I have this whole video and I wish I could have put it in my birth vlog, but I was just open. Everything. It was very revealing. So obviously I could not. That's just gonna be for me. Arion actually cut the umbilical cord. We have video of him doing that, so that's really cool. Took him over to the little table to weigh him and to check him out since he was born early. They had NICU nurses and a NICU pediatrician in there too. But he weighed out to be 7 pounds and 4 ounces when he was born. My doctor said if he would have been born at 40 weeks, it probably would have been a C-section. You know, they were like, you know, his lungs aren't like doing what they're supposed to be doing right now, but that's okay because he was born early. So they put him on a CPAP machine. Well, first they got him all swaddled up and dried off, and they handed him back to me so we could take our little family picture. And then they took him back and put the CPAP machine on him. We were gonna take him down to the NICU. So Arion went down there with them. This is my first baby, so I didn't really know anything else. But I am really sad that I didn't get to have that first hour with him, you know, the golden hour where they set baby on your chest and you get to bond. I didn't hold him until later that night, and did get the delayed cord clamping though. That has great benefits, but I really I didn't really think about it that day. It took me a few actually days to think about it. I was like, I didn't get to really hold him that much after he was born. Like, what if something had happened? And I only got to hold him for a few seconds after he was born. But thankfully, he is happy and healthy. And the next like 2 hours is really blurry. I know I ate some food. I still didn't take a nap yet because I guess I still had all the adrenaline going. You have a couple hours in your delivery room, then you get moved to the postpartum recovery room. So the nurse comes in, she put me in a wheelchair to wheel me down to my new room, but we stopped at the NICU. They still had him on the CPAP machine. They had a feeding tube in. It was really hard, and I had to get wheeled back out because I was like, I don't want to leave him. Like, I don't want to leave him. NICU nurses at where I delivered, they are amazing. We went to my recovery room. That's pretty much it for my birth story, because whole birth vlog, you guys can check that out to kind of see what else happened after I gave birth and how Ace's stay in the NICU went. I really just wanted to fill in the blanks about actually giving birth. I gave birth at 35 weeks, and my big, he's like passed out right now. My big chunky monk. And we will see you all on our next video.